we had some focus groups 3 or 4 years ago, and I said to the group that I was kind of in front of at that moment, this is our biggest challenge because we're kind of scared to change a little bit the tone, and we're not sure if people will appreciate that or not, or whether they say, oh look, it's like the FIFA digital equivalent of the granddad at the wedding who suddenly had one too many fizzy drinks and starts to kind of dance in a way that he thinks is cool and hip, but everybody else is looking at him going, no. And one of these guys said to me, okay, I give you a very simple comparison. If you come into an office on a Monday morning and you go into a cafeteria and you have a coffee, if the group of people you're speaking to, for example, went away on a bachelor weekend, the kind of tone of that conversation is going to be fairly light.
Yep.
If conversely, you go into the cafeteria and there's a group of people there and you know that one of those people perhaps had a family bereavement over the weekend, you wouldn't approach that conversation in the same way for obvious reasons. But at certain points, both those approaches are perfectly fine. And it's one person just taking a different approach to a different topic, to a different group of people based on circumstance. And for me, that's kind of stuck in my head. And that was something I then took back to our group of editors, to some of our, I guess, more senior people in Zurich, and said, I think this is the perfect explanation of how we can start to talk a little bit more in the voice of a fan. If we're at the World Cup and we have somebody on Twitter and somebody scores a goal from 30 meters in the top corner and the whole world is just absolutely falling over themselves because it's one of the best goals you've ever seen. If FIFA were to sort of report that in the tone of perhaps BBC World Service in 1950, you would be the only one in the world talking like that, and everybody would be thinking, don't you guys like football? Yeah. And so to give full credit to one of our team, I'm really proud. So I haven't had to recruit too many people, but when we have done, this was a great choice. We had a guy from Scotland, David, who's now working at the Olympic Channel, and he just got it spot on. So he took the Twitter account for Russia and did the same in the Women's World Cup, and it moved us on. It made us feel like we were part of the conversation, that when we had to be serious, we could be. When we had to perhaps report on things that were more corporate, we could take that tone. But when football was going on and some fantastic football was being played on the field, we could enjoy it like everybody else. And I think fans appreciated that. We could have a little bit of a laugh. We were quite clear where our invisible line was, where we didn't feel comfortable crossing perhaps. But I think we got that by and large pretty right, and we continued that in France, and we took a very different tone, especially for women's football. But what I'm really proud of, because again, we I think understood, particularly with my background, the women's game. A number of our team had worked with federations in the past as well, so they'd also worked with women's teams. And I think we really kind of tuned into some of the things that were going on as best as we could. And again, that's just, sometimes you have to kind of feel your way into things, and sometimes you have to make sure that the people who are working with you are confident and comfortable to do that, because if they're not, of course, it can sound very awkward, very contrived, very false, and it has to feel natural. And I think that's kind of one of our progressions. We've not, revolutionized digital by doing so, but for us, it was quite a big evolution, I think.